The rise of Nyako to stardom came about when one morning she woke up in a TikTok live and told Kenyans that she had woken up from Tarimbo and had not showered. Andrew Kibe, when Andrew Kibe was known for dragging people around, took up the video and blew it out of proportion, calling her a shosho, and Nyako yelled back to him. Andrew Kibe was feared so much by Kenyan celebrities, and the fact that Nyako could respond to him so strongly caught the attention of Kenyans, and that is how Nyako propelled herself to stardom. And within a few months, Nyako got the attention of everyone in Kenya. She was not letting go the new celebrity status, so she took it up and ran with it. One day, Lulu Hassan of Citizen TV was going through her TikTok live messages, and her assistant asked if she knew Nyako, and she asked, "Is it the shosh?" A statement that wrapped Nyako the wrong way. Nyako yelled unprintable words the whole day, until fans of Lulu gathered to stop her. They alleged that Lulu had no idea who Nyako was, and that was what made Nyako angry, because she couldn't believe that she could be overlooked. She used this small opportunity to stand out, but she later apologized to Lulu Hassan. Nyako did not miss a chance to introduce herself to the world, from cooking in TikTok live, to cleaning, to going to the toilet, to talking about bedroom matters. She couldn't allow herself to be quiet. Within a few months of celebrity, she acquired a savior mentality and rebranded, swearing herself in as the president of TikTok and the angel of mercy. The Mother Teresa of fundraising for a feeding program for people living in the streets in Kenya. Everyone saw a person that was ready to serve others. She would make or break your brand in a second. She got a fan base that was royal, one she would command who should be supported or bashed. It was based on how she felt. Many young people fell for the sympathy and the manipulation together. It all added up, and Kenyans saw a merciful person who did not claim perfection, was not rich and did not claim riches, had accepted their past dark life and spoke about it unhinged, one who needed their help but was also ready to change the lives of others. People scrambled to get her attention and get her to their live sessions, even a mention for a second of their brands by Nyako, to get attention of followers and gifters. Everyone wanted a piece of her favor in quotes. Merciful Nyako hit TikTok and became famous and enjoyed the celebrity status. But before we proceed, let us navigate what kept people so hooked to Nyako. Nyako is a sensational TikToker who first came to the limelight in Facebook by confessing her extraordinary past life full of darkness. What caught the attention of everyone is when she came out confessing how she used to doze around with men for free in Kenya and sometimes for money before she found her way as an au pair in Germany. Everyone that listened to her thought they had heard everything she needed to say, but she went ahead to confess how she removed 5 bikinis from her womb. She further made confessions how she sold her Kanembi for peanuts in Germany, sometimes even in the train. What now followed this confession was constant complaints about her health. She would sometime wake up in TikTok and tell her followers how her health was failing her, gathering massive sympathy and the attention of many. Sometimes she would pray to ancestors, other times to God, and at the hit of the moment she would tell people she was feeling too unwell, that she would think she would pass on soon if people didn't help her. She understood very well the kind of fans and audience following her, and she hit the point and raised the sympathy card whenever she deemed fit to get people's attention. The anger and loud voice to make sure people that were critical on her remained silent is what scared many people off. Once anyone wrapped feathers with her the wrong way, that day she would make sure you receive your woto woto the whole day. She didn't care that you had a brand to protect or not. Many people feared Nyako, and that she attracted a lot of people who behind the scenes did not like her at all. Due to the fear of being reprimanded and brands tarnished, even those around her, friends and family alike, could not correct her. Both friends and people around her, allegedly behind the scenes, decided to make her desperate. The trusting Nyako, who had received a lot of trauma from her past life, ranging from being abandoned by her baby daddies to suffering severely in Germany before she could get a settlement visa, to selling her kenyans to countless men to travel to Germany and also help her siblings, to losing a job because some people, while she was doing her Facebook Live, heard that she was unwell and she was reported to the company that had employed her, laid her off, to now being trolled online by people by being called shosho. She couldn't literally think critically. Too much trauma all the way from childhood to adulthood. She claimed she felt only valued in TikTok. Being loved and valued looked real through gifts and attention she received from fans. Rejection by her baby daddies, the struggle to be a single mum, and the failure to secure a good relationship are things that never leave her conversations. Her ways of interpreting love was just unhealthy. Very trusty, naively, Nyako entered the world of TikTok, and sometimes she would be preachy, while other days she would be so angry that no one would wish to cross her path in the platform. Then she got an unfamiliar friend by the name Big Daddy. Sometimes when she was on TikTok, Big Daddy would seduce her, and she would look fascinated in her face. She would reach a point where she would even defend Big Daddy so seriously against his wives. The whole situation looked like these two were in love. Then Nyako, without a clear thought, decided to showcase her kenyans to Big Daddy, who recorded it and kept it for sharing. So, it was one day in the morning when TikTokers woke up to a crying Nyako, who said that her kenyans had been distributed online by Big Daddy. Nyako broke the internet in Kenya, Germany, and USA in tears, begging people not to share her kenyans with other people for the sake of her sons. Big Daddy had gone so low, and the people that did not, like her behind the scenes, were ready to use the video to make sure she paid for all the days she ever woke and dragged the people who did not like her. She used the opportunity very well and gathered sympathy, but that also exposed her and some people who had thought she was reformed from her previous life of selling kenyans came to the realization that she had been pretending and was the same behind the scenes. The kenyans situation dealt a big blow to the Nyako's brand. Kenyans is the most sacred part of a woman's body, and that was how she hit a very low moment of her life. Very unforgettable, but also regrettable. A treatment unleashed by a Big Daddy whose brand would become irrelevant in TikTok. There was no touching Nyako without consequences. It lowered Big Daddy's brand to a new low. That, a mention of his name, now reminds many people of Nyako's kenyans. Very few people remember what Big Daddy brand stood for before sharing Nyako's kenyans at her most vulnerable time without her knowledge. When Nyako became famous, and because of the massive voice and clever ways of controlling people in TikTok, many people were looking for her endorsement. She used the opportunity to ask for support, as well as ask people to gift her lions, universe roses, money in M-Pesa and PayPal, mention them. Nyako was given it all. There was one gifter, one that all TikTokers want to receive money from, King Rosso. The unknown and not seen by many gifter gifted Nyako lions, and as she received the money, so she came for more. One time King Rosso made a promise to take Nyako to Dubai for holiday, a trip that would later fail miserably, as in when she arrived in Dubai, she never met him at all. It would be a trip that Nyako would talk about for months. Then came Nyako shedding tears in TikTok, claiming that there were 2 Kenyan women living in Germany who didn't like her and were taking her to the courts, claiming that she needed to account for the money she had been receiving from TikTokers. She even alleged that some people had told the German government that she had been earning from TikTok, leading to her rent and health insurance being stopped and her tax declarations being requested for. To her, those women, particularly Pesh and JB Kiparangoto, were just after her for nothing. There were instances she would dramatically claim that there were people who wanted her to be deported because they were jealous that she was receiving so many lions in TikTok and that they didn't want her to help Kenyans in the streets through her feeding program. Then someone released her M-Pesa statement that was doing rounds in social media, something she would later get a lawyer to follow up for her with Safaricom. She claimed Safaricom would need to pay her for releasing her M-Pesa statement without her permission. No mention of the progress of this case yet. Nyako became the most haunted person ever to be known in the 21st century in Germany, TikTok, and Kenya in general. She alleged that people were jealous of her and were round and about in pursuit of her success, lifestyle, favors, and life. The controversy around her life was so much that every right-thinking person wondered how someone who had no idea who she was would take her to court for nothing. At some point, she would wake up and treat TikTokers to the surprise that someone had sent to her address some gummy witchcraft-like papers. It was drama after drama. She isn't the only TikToker doing content in TikTok, but the amount of attention she was looking for, the unseen and seen people after her, fans got so emotionally and financially drained trying to save her. One time she alleged that she was flat broke and cried for help for money to pay rent. Nyako pleaded for help to pay rent and said that her situation was desperate because she was not feeling well. She revealed that she needed rent because the money she had earned from TikTok had all been lost because someone had withdrawn the money. An anonymous person called Absolute, who had said she needed her money back that she had contributed for charity. Then Nyako gained a new identity, savior mentality, where she came to the aid of Brian Shearer raising money to rent him a house. They would later disagree, and Brian Shearer would get shunned by Nyako's fans for refusing to accept help and change towards a better person. For the rest of the life of Brian Shearer, he remained on the wrong sides of Nyako until he passed on in a controversial way. Nyako would allegedly been embroiled in how Brian Shearer lost his life and the disagreements that would bring Brian Shearer's grandmother to the limelight. In 1 minute, she seemed to be on the side of Brian Shearer's grandmother, but in a spark of a second, she changed her mind and shifted gears to what would save her image. This doesn't mean that she did not mourn Brian Shearer, she actually did. She wore a black attire and honored him, lighting a candle and releasing balloons, with the song Bade by Amos and Josh playing softly in the background. However, her failure to use her platform to strongly advocate for Brian Shearer's justice would become one of the issues that caused Nyako's problems and her loss of fame. Fans had just reached their ha-ha moment. The whole of April they seemed to have woken up, and the money, lions, universe among others had reduced. The ever Nyako receiving lions but always coming back and forth to claim that she was broke, fatigued fans. The fatigue reached its climax when she came to TikTok crying out for help, that she needed financial help to support herself. Nyako is always in financial straits besides receiving so many lions, and has always pleaded for help in desperation etched through her voice. Fans have not seen her move houses or change her life drastically, so people wonder how she spends the money she receives. Those days when she first became famous, without any care, she would eat good meals and wear designer clothes in camera, and make very sudden trips to Kenya to feed street people and remind people how much she was doing for charity. Few Kenyans living in Germany would afford to make sudden trips to Kenya at a short notice, and that should tell you that she is not that broke after all. She has never wanted anyone to ask her anything about accountability of the money she receives for charity. To Nyako, the motto is give her the money and trust she will use it wisely. She has always insisted that all the money she receives, she gives it back to others in TikTok and feeds people in the street. How true that is something only herself knows. But one thing is very clear to her now: fans are tired. Fame is fast fading out, and a need to change strategy is urgently required to save her brand and retain relevance in TikTok.